Few people know crime better than the people who report it, and that's certainly true for this Suncoast author. Author Pat Mechanic was a journalist at the Wall Street Journal and New York Times. Now she's turning that knowledge into a chilling murder mystery. So tell us all about his career. What were you doing as a journalist, and how did that turn into what you're doing now?
Well, I was a general assignment reporter in the Caribbean for a few years, later became a business reporter. But while I lived in the Caribbean, there was a murder I covered. Woman came to the island. I was in St. Croix. She came to the island and she was looking for this gentleman. He showed up. She got in the car. The next morning they found her dead on one beach and the car burned up on another beach. And so it sort of resonated with me, and I fictionalized it, and the result is Illusions of Paradise.
Okay, and that's based on the entire accounting of that true story.
Yes, I fictionalized it.
I love this, Pat, because a lot of people, I think, don't believe that they can transition into another career or art form, but what were the skills that you used as a journalist that it was a natural for you to become a writer?
Writing, writing, and a lot of imagination. I love words, and so it was a 12-year process, but we got there. Yeah.
I can't imagine giving birth to something like that. We were talking earlier, but it must be amazing to finally see it come to fruition.
Oh, I tell people that I use words for a living, and I could talk all day, but I still couldn't describe the joy I feel inside. I mean, it's just, it's something I believed I could do and always dreamed of doing it. And to hold it in my hands is just an amazing feeling.
Well, speaking of joy, yes.
Only person who's held it in their hands.
You showed we just got to see a picture of you with one of our idols. Tell us about meeting Oprah Winfrey.
That was in Houston. I was with the Wall Street Journal, and it was the National Association of Television Programming Executives. And went in the room and sit and talk with her for about 15 minutes. She asked me, how'd you get to Houston? Where are you from? She asked me about good restaurants in Houston. Really nice. And I used that picture for inspiration, because my thing is I dreamed I could write a book, and I did. And so in the morning when I'm making coffee, I'm being interviewed by Oprah. So, Pat, did you know we were going to write a bestseller? Why, yes, Oprah, I did.
Yes.
So, Pat, did you know it was going to be made into a movie? Why, yes, Oprah, I did.
So we're pretty lame. She's slumming today.
So that's kind of stayed your inspiration. Well, 12 years is a long time to work on the project. Did it change over time as you changed, as you evolved?
I think the basic story stayed the same. There's a lot of edits, a lot of rewrites, a lot of stuff that you go back and say, yeah, this may be clever, but does it move the story forward? So a lot of really sort of discipline and saying, we got to keep the story moving forward. But
how did you know when it was done? How do you know when a book is complete?
A woman I used to work with, one of the editors I worked with, said to me, read it out loud. And my first thought was, yeah, I'm not doing that. But I started to do it. And the more I did it, it just sort of worked. And there was one time when I read it and I finished and I thought, it's ready. I always tell people it's like the old Orson Welles commercial, no wine before it's time. And that's how I felt about the book, not until it's time. And that one time I read it and I finished and I thought, it's ready for the world.
Oh. Now, for those people that are aspiring writers out there that think, I might have a book to tell, but I'm not sure how to do it, what advice would you give to them?
You got to be committed. Someone said to me last week, I don't want to sit at a computer all day and then sit at a computer all night. And I used to think that. But at some point, if you want to get it done, you're going to have to sit at a computer at night.
Yeah.
I tell people, write 10 pages a night. If you write 10 pages a night in 10 days, you've got 100 pages.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks, you've got half of a book. And then a lot of rewrites and edits, but you really got to be committed and believe. You got to believe that
manageable.
Did you have an outline, like where you knew it was going? So, an outline of the plot. So you knew you had to get here, and then you knew you had to get to that point.
No, it's amazing. It just kind of came together. There were times when I was typing and the characters were talking, and I was just the typist because the characters became so real to me that I felt like, I couldn't type fast enough.
Well, if you want to hear more about Pat Mechanic and her story, she will be available for signings all over the Suncoast. She has, starting March 24th, you can visit the Illusions of Paradise website to see where she is next. Next, this weekend's McCurdy's comedy headliner.